So let's have fun with it. It's just a conversation among friends.
Yes. Okay. Hi there, I'm Corey Buhay. I'm a reporter with Snooze, and I've got Amy and Jessie here with me from OIA, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the sustainability and environmental initiatives we are seeing at the show this year. So I'll let these folks introduce themselves and their positions with OIA if you want to start.
I'm Amy Horton. I'm the Director of Sustainable Business with the Outdoor Industry Association.
I'm Jessie Curry, a Sustainable Business Innovation Manager at OIA.
Cool. Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
So it seems like a big focus of this show has been sustainability. I've seen a lot of advertisement out on the floor, a lot of pushes for new products, new directions. Can you tell me a little bit about what you guys have been seeing?
Yeah. I'll start, and then Jessie can add in with some examples. I think if you kind of step back and think about not just kind of individual product innovations, but these themes of companies asking questions and starting to dig into where their products come from, how they're made, and where they go at the end of their useful life, right? And so in the category of where products are coming from, what's exciting to me is we're seeing a ton more recycled content. So just brands increasingly kind of ratcheting up their goals around percentage of recycled content. This is an awesome way to reduce climate impact and other impacts. Toad & Co. is a great example of that, and there are probably some other examples of use of recycled content. How products are made, I love it when we see that blue sign, that blue sign sticker on booths, especially of material developers. That means that these companies are looking deeply at the chemicals and the chemistries that are used to make their products, that they know what those chemicals are, and that they've made conscious decisions toward using better chemicals. And then the third area around where products are going, where they end up at the end of their useful life, we are also loving seeing more of the repair aspects being built into companies' offerings, and then also partnerships like the Renewal Workshop, right? Which is taking product that is perfectly usable, again, maybe needs a little bit of fixing or washing or whatever it is, extending the life of that product for as long as possible, reselling it. This is one of the biggest trends in sustainability right now. The resale market is growing at a rate 24 times faster than new product, which is really exciting. So brands are jumping on that. Extending the life of a product is a really important way to reduce the overall environmental impact, and it's a business opportunity for companies. So those are some of the examples that we're seeing.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would say that one thing that I also think is shifting to support kind of those overarching three themes is a lot of companies are saying with every product we produce, there will be at least one sustainability attribute or benefit to that product.
Yeah.
So they might focus on where that product came from. They might focus on the content, or they might focus on the process of how it's made. But they know the importance of communicating that to their customer and are setting goals around ensuring that their whole product line starts to have a sustainability attribute for every product. And so I think that also is starting to shift where brands are committing to that and publicizing that there's at least one sustainability benefit that they're really incorporating within the product.
Yeah, I might just take that even Jessie's reminding me of this theme that I'm seeing on the floor and then in these other conversations. If you attended the industry breakfast and heard Afdal Aziz talk about social purpose, right? Products that deliver social benefit, that is the way of the future, right? Helping 88% of consumers want brands to help them live more sustainably. So if you want to put it really bluntly, and I'm even hearing this, right? If you want to be in business in the next 10 to 15 years, your product needs to help solve the global environmental crisis. It needs to provide a social benefit, right? And that's a really exciting theme. That is, the outdoor industry provides so many positive benefits to society already. We help people live a healthy outdoor lifestyle. We get kids outside. We protect public lands, right? But this outdoor experience that we enable is under threat, and it's through things like climate change and overconsumption and environmental degradation, and that is because the stuff we make is contributing to that problem. So companies who are looking at that and saying this is a disconnect here, right? This doesn't make sense. We need the outdoors in order for our businesses to thrive, yet the stuff we make is causing environmental harm. There's a real opportunity there to say, how can we go, and this is where our strategy is headed on sustainability at OIA, how can we take this to a place where we are net positive? How can we demonstrate net positivity, net positive benefit, where we, in all aspects of human, animal, and environmental health, we contribute more than we're taking, right? And that is super exciting. That is the trend. And where we choose to go first on that, whether it's climate or cleaning up our supply chains or circular innovation, I think that's what we're figuring out right now and where we're going to put that stake in the ground. But this idea of net positive is really exciting to us.
Yeah. And, I know just walking the show floor, I've seen, a lot of those blue sign stickers. I've seen a lot of companies saying that they've joined the Plastic Impact Alliance, reducing their single-use plastic at the show or building their booths out of recycled materials. So kind of taking a broader look at everything they're doing as a company to kind of increase the sustainability of everything they do. So that's super cool. And, as you mentioned, a lot more products have that, at least one sustainability piece. And so we've seen a lot of push, but I'm wondering if, is this a baby step, or is that enough to just have one piece? And have you, net positive? That sounds like the next step, not just like this isn't doing harm, but like this is doing good.
Yeah.
Have you seen anybody move in that direction yet?
You want to talk about the beanie? There are some examples. It's not scaled yet, for sure. This is the long-term vision, but there are some examples out there.
Yeah, there are some that are starting, and I think you have to start somewhere and kind of prove to the industry that what is possible. And the examples I think of are the North Face did a California wool beanie last year that they partnered with Fibershed, a regional nonprofit that focuses on measuring the carbon that a farm actually takes in and ensuring that it is providing a climate benefit by sourcing wool from this farm. And so that was essentially an example where North Face was able to say, here's an opportunity for us to prove that our wool in this beanie is actually helping solve a climate issue. Of course, it's one small step, but it's proving that we can actually calculate that we're drawing down carbon instead of putting more out from manufacturing. And so that's a great example. And then Patagonia is, as you probably have heard, is really focusing on regenerative agriculture, and it's kind of a broad description of that process and really looking at a holistic view of what a farm looks like and how it cycles through and how soil health and animals and diversity is incorporated into the farm. And so that's kind of showing up in their provisions line right now, and I know they're looking at scaling that for other products in the future. But those are kinds of the shifts, that we're seeing where what's the positive contribution here? We don't want to just mitigate and reach zero. I think that we need to do better as an industry and actually be a leader within other industries of contributing positively. So
can you guys tell me a little bit about what OIA and the sustainability initiatives that you guys are doing? Like how are you supporting that shift or planning to support that shift? And what can I guess kind of these overarching organizations that have kind of a top-down view of the industry, what can you do to help support that and push that forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are I'm about 3 months into this role, and so it was a great time to sort of look at all of the leadership the industry has shown on sustainability so far and say, what's it time for now? And there's definitely this excitement toward this vision of net positive, and our new vision statement is that the outdoor industry demonstrates the path toward net positive impact, right? And in quotations underneath that is that so that other industries will follow. We don't generate we don't have the biggest impact, right, globally in terms of an industry. However, we have a lot to lose, and if we're able to show that we can do this, right, that we can get toward a net positive future in certain aspects, then our hope is that we can provide that template to, the fashion industry, or let's open it up, right, because this benefits all of us. Even if we were 100% net positive industry, it would still be a drop in the bucket in terms of the impact we need to make. We have 10 years to reverse the climate impacts, or we're going to see severe consequences, right? So in terms of what we're doing, we're really kind of aligning the industry around that vision right now, and we're building excitement about that, and starting to map out what that looks like in terms of our work and how we're going to support brands in that future, right? There's a couple of areas. We had 200 people in the room on Monday talking about sustainability and collaborating on sustainability in our industry across the street. And we will continue. A lot of those brands, about 80% of the room, had just come on board kind of into the sustainability space in the last year, right? So we want to help them. We believe every outdoor industry company should have a strategy on sustainability. That means you've set some goals, your CEO's on board, and you are taking action to achieve those goals, whether it's recycled content or implementing blue sign in your facilities, or whatever that might be. So through our boot camps, we run these sustainability boot camps. We've done 2 already. We have 2 more coming up. One in September in New York City, and then another in December in Southern California, where we're helping brands accelerate that process of developing a strategy and get that in place. So that's one thing that we are doing this year and really focusing on. We're also helping brands get on board with the Higg Index, so they can just measure look at their facilities in partnership with their manufacturers and say, how are our facilities doing in terms of energy, carbon, having an environmental management system. And then what we're doing right now, we've done a lot of great work on chemicals management and have some strong collaboration there. But climate is so important to our industry. Coming together to put a stake in the ground and say that we are going to brands are going to commit to measure their entire carbon footprint, their operations, and their carbon in their supply chain, as well as take action to reduce that carbon is more than likely going to be our focus, right? And we will support the roadmap. What are the tools that you need to measure, and how do you measure, and how can you get measurement done quickly? And then who are the partners you can work with to start to reduce carbon emissions, whether that's starting with your own 4 walls, or looking at your distribution, or really getting into where the climate impacts are, which is in the supply chain, working with facilities to reduce emissions, or sourcing lower carbon materials, for example. So we at OIA are going to help provide the roadmap to achieve that, so that brands can get started quickly. And we're going to be holding each other accountable to doing that along a timeline that's going to be really fast, because we need quick action. Yeah.
And would you say that it's a lot of big changes? It can be expensive and resource intensive to really take a hard look at everything you're doing or overhaul your systems. And some of the brands you mentioned, Patagonia, the North Face, those are big folks.
Yes.
Thank you. How can you make this accessible to smaller brands, or what can smaller brands do to get involved?
Yeah, totally. 90% of OIA's members are under 20 million in revenue, so we definitely have that small to mid-sized brand in mind. We did when we designed the boot camps. They are directly designed for them. I think that's where the roadmap comes in. Like, as a brand, no matter your size, you need to be able to efficiently measure your carbon footprint in a short amount of time. So we want to help create the tools that can bring the cost down and make that faster. Now, the hard work of reduction, that's where partners like Clean by Design and the Apparel Impact Institute come in, where we can help kind of aggregate demand and connect brands to those partnerships, so that they have partners who can work with them in their facilities, and those partners understand how to do this in a facility, right? And they're there at the service of the manufacturer. They help the manufacturer save money. And so I think that through development of roadmaps and through connecting brands to partners to make this work easier, that's how OIA is going to be helpful to the smaller to mid-sized brands. And then the more brands that participate in things like this, the lower the cost for everybody is the model that I think would likely emerge. So we can bring the cost down. we're in the middle of designing what that looks like, so I can't be too specific, but I think in general, that's how we intend to be helpful.
And that's of course for the climate, and I think what has been really beautiful to witness is the boot camps, because they are really open. We're not telling a brand what they should focus on, but it's really giving them the lens of what's an intelligent strategy to have. How do you look at your own supply chain and identify those hot spots based on your unique product and kind of where you are and what resources you have internally. And it's been really cool to see that empowerment come up from people realizing they can actually take a day and really initiate a strategy when they thought maybe that would be a 6-month process. Maybe they'd have to get all this expensive buy-in, or they would need all these tools. But in reality, it comes down to maybe an Excel sheet and talking to other brands that are similar to you. And I just think it's a really cool program that OA is putting together to facilitate that experience, because that's the first step, I think, that brands will experience, and then they might feel confident to take on that roadmap and start making steps towards something like climate.
Yeah, totally.
So kind of just the importance of, like, no matter what size you are, saying this is a value I have, and just starting to talk to other people and see what you can do at where you're at.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, the 3 things we emphasize in the boot camp for getting started are, you've got to look at where the impact is in your supply chain, right? What are your hot spots? You have to become a student. You have to unravel your supply chain. You have to look at the materials that are in your product, right? You have to consider a range of different impacts, and you need to be able to say, like, whoa, at this intersection of this part of our supply chain and this impact, like there's an energy efficiency problem here and an opportunity, right? And then you need to focus your effort in on the few areas that you're going to feel like you can make the biggest difference. Is that climate? Is that chemicals? Is that both? And then you need to get to know your supply chain. You have got to have a clear picture of where your stuff is coming from and who's making it. And there's too many brands that don't know where their materials are being made, by who, and under what conditions in our industry. So it's time to open that up. You've got to know. Yeah.
Well, that kind of wraps up.
Thank you, Corey.
I wanted to touch on, so I really appreciate you guys' time.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for being here. Thanks, you guys, for listening.